On paper, and even just by looking at the two, you can tell that the Razer Basilisk and Logitech's G502 share many similarities. From the number of buttons to its max DPI, some have even gone so far as to call out Razer for stealing Logitech's design.
I don't like this mouse. It's because, well, they copied.
It's basically the same shell.
And they pretty much are the same shape. They're twinning, 100%.
Calling them nearly identical is a fair assessment, but calling them exactly identical is simply just not true. If you ever get the chance to compare the two mice side by side, you'll notice something ever so slightly off between them. This is incredibly difficult to show on camera, but the Basilisk has a slightly sharper bump on the back of the mouse when compared with the G502. If you happen to have a Death Adder lying around, you might be able to notice a similar bump. In fact, I think this bump might be a part of every Razer mouse. I personally don't have any others to test, so I popped into Best Buy to see if this was true. I risked getting the you-know-what for this, so please consider subscribing, and remember to smash the like button. Oh god, yeah. Yes, they all have the bump. Viper, Mamba, Death Adder, they all have the Razer bump. As someone who palm grips, this bump digs right above my palm and right into where my index and middle finger connect. However, after using the Basilisk for a bit longer, I can't exactly call this a deal breaker. I asked someone who claw grips, and they said that they prefer this shape over the G502. Also, after you install a DPI clutch, since it's so far up the mouse, you end up choking out past the bump anyway. I guess this is one of those bug turned feature type moments. Let's throw out some positives though. The biggest problem that plagues gaming mice is the double click issue. There's actually no fix to this until companies stop using mechanical switches. You can learn more about that here if you want to go deep with it. Razer attempted to fix this by going with optical switches for the V2, but of course this won't help if any of the other 9 buttons on the mouse fail because they're all still mechanical. But at least they got the ones that matter the most. Razer also managed to cut down some weight. Unfortunately, I really wish they finished copying Logitech's helmet here because this came at the cost of one of their defining features. Originally from the MX line, some Logitech mice have the option to release the notches on the scroll wheel to allow it to spin freely. I guess Razer wanted to, but couldn't figure out how to do it because they tried to compensate with the scroll wheel with adjustable resistance. I don't think anyone has ever asked for an adjustable scroll wheel before. The lowest setting comes close to the feel of the infinite scroll, but nothing comes close to being able to scroll to the bottom of a document almost instantaneously. Razer tries to compensate for this by setting the side scroll buttons to fast scrolling by default, which leads me to the next thing we need to talk about. The thing that separates Logitech and Razer from budget mice is software. Don't get me wrong, Logitech's software is also pretty bad, but at least it's got the basics. Razer markets the Basilisk as having 11 buttons, but one of the buttons is this one right here on the bottom of the mouse. Who thought this was a good idea? I'm a pro gamer and everything, but I'm definitely not trying to stop in the middle of my game and ollie my mouse like a tech deck in order to be able to use this button. This makes it so that the only thing this button is actually usable for is for profile cycling. Now, the thing about profile cycling is that it only works on the default setting. I tried to switch the order in which they cycle, and it leads to it not working at all. Did no one bother to test this feature? This is basically what I look like when I'm coding. Trust me, Razer, I get it. But I can't help but agree with the person upset because they feel like a beta tester for a mouse they paid full price for. Back to the 11 buttons thing. If you give me this many buttons, I better be able to use them. This is a very specific use case, but I'm going to mention it as your free video game tip of the week. If any of you play League of Legends, there are 4 buttons that you need to set. These are F2, F3, F4, and F5. For those that don't know, these toggle the camera to your teammates and are a must for anyone trying to be decent at the game. This means that I need a minimum of 4 extra buttons on my mouse because the F keys are a bit too far away to reach from your standard QWER. The choices are quite simple in the G502. We can cover 2 with the back and forward buttons, and 2 more with these buttons next to the left click. However, Razer decided to not copy these, and instead decided to go with the 2 DPI buttons instead. It's not a terrible choice for regular usage, but it's definitely a lackluster choice for gaming. This is definitely not the most ergonomic movement. The way I see it, the Razer Basilisk is designed for a very specific use case. Someone who claw grips, prefers a light but not too light mouse, and doesn't care about custom mouse buttons. But for everyone else, stick with the G502.